Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's look at some stocks on the move. Today, we are joined by Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta. And Kriti, we're off pre-market session lows this morning, but it is still very difficult to find any green on the screen. Good morning.
Good morning, Nathan. Absolutely. The selling is indiscriminate this morning. I'm going to go sector by sector. There's no other way to comb through this market mayhem. Okay. I'm going to kick it off with the technology sector here. Of course, we want to look at our Mag 7s. If you are worried about seeing margin calls in this market, tech is a great example of where you're going to get hit, aka when push comes to shove, your most profitable names are what you sell first. And we're seeing that show up in the likes of Palantir, for example, PLTR, one of the major companies that's been trading off both cybersecurity and the AI trade, down a whopping 5% this morning. It is your worst performer in the tech space. And I would say broadly, the S&P 500 in the pre-market. A similar story when it comes to all of the chip exposed names. We're seeing 2 to 3% declines from the likes of Micron, the likes of NVIDIA, the likes of Broadcom, NVDA, MU, AVGO, those tickers all down circa 3% this morning. You are seeing a little bit of a mixed reaction when it comes to some of the cybersecurity stocks, though. And this is something that Dan Ives over at Wedbush, the Uber tech bull, who, by the way, is warned of something like 10% of cuts when it comes to the earnings picture already priced in. He's actually said that cybersecurity names could be some sort of defensive play among this sell-off that you're seeing. Not seeing any early evidence of that this morning. So Palo Alto Networks is a great one to look at. PANW down about 4%. Fortinet is another. FTNT also down about 4%. Basically, Nathan, you're catching my drift here. Pain across the board. And I'm going to go on the other side of that trade, which is not defensive but cyclical, and ultimately the banks. And here in Europe, the banks are getting crushed this morning. We're seeing anywhere from 7 to 10% declines on each individual stock. Some of that sentiment is feeding into the likes of the American banks as well as some of the other American firms. So Wells Fargo is a great one. WFC down 3.7%, trading at $58.70 per share. Goldman Sachs as well. GS is your ticker, down about 3%. We're seeing this morning a lot of people saying that the next leg of weakness will come when the retail bidders start to sell their holdings. Charles Schwab is a great example of a stock that is going to be exposed to that. SCHW is your ticker, down 3% this morning, trading at $67 a share. Nathan, I'm going to wrap this up with a quick check on Nike, because we know on Friday Nike shares got pummeled during the trade. A lot of that with exposure to Vietnam. This morning, you now have reports that Vietnam is trying to communicate with the White House, trying to eliminate some of those tariff barriers on their side to get the same reaction from D.C. Nevertheless, NKE is your ticker for Nike. Shares down about 2% this morning, trading at $56 a share, Nathan.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.